I just don't understand why we couldn't bring all of that under the confines of these shelters at home, because you're telling people don't go to work. We're not going to let you come to work. We've got to shut these businesses down. We've got to social distance as much as we possibly can to grapple and really bring this particular virus under our control. But if people can't go to work, how do they make those payments? $1,200 is just going to be some people's mortgage payment for 1 month.
Gold Rider, a shadowy flight into the dangerous world of a man who is fearless. A young loner on a crusade to champion the cause in a world of reckless automobiles. These are my motovlogs.
We're live in the Caliente Garage, joined by some of our Caliente Gold Wing riders, all of the way from California. We got Moto Mark. What's up, Mark?
How you doing, Chris?
From Washington, D.C., we got Wes. What's going on, Wes?
Hey, how's everybody?
Las Vegas, Nevada. D-Lo.
What's happening, fellas? Good to see y'all. What up, Chris?
What's going on, D-Lo? Kansas City, Missouri. DeCarlos.
Honor and a pleasure. Honor and a pleasure.
And we got Jason. What's up, Jason?
Oh, not a whole lot. It's good to see everybody.
Good to see you, Jay Money.
Hey, that's a good biker name for Jason. J Money. That might be
Hey,
We got Composure. What's up, Composure?
We are blessed, doing well, gentlemen. Y'all doing all right?
Composure in the house.
And say the best for last but not least, all the way from Durham, North Carolina. Let's give it up for Charles. What's up, Charles?
How everybody doing? Everybody hear me clear?
Yes, sir. We hear you, Charles.
Blessings, everybody. Love everybody. Everybody doing?
Yes, sir.
Great. We're doing great.
Good.
Everybody feeling good today?
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, blessed like you said. Blessed.
I gotta say this real quick. You know why I'm feeling good? Brother, I rolled a gold wing to work, man. You know, I gotta pop instead of popping the collar, I gotta pop the t-shirt, fellas. You know.
Yeah.
Man, I know a lot of people are feeling good today, and because they have received, and I've been hearing people have been getting their stimulus check.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, a lot of people have been anticipating it. You know, the country has basically shut down, and a lot of people are out of work. A lot of people have lost their jobs. A lot of people are not able to make an income. So a lot of people have been getting their stimulus checks in the mail, and they actually started coming out this week. So I've been getting some calls on it and decided to do this live feed because a lot of people are happy about the stimulus check. What you guys think about it?
I think it's a beautiful idea. I do. I really do. But I'm kind of apprehensive about a couple of things, meaning, is this going to bite us on the back end? You know, there's so much rumors about this stimulus check, meaning, you know, are we going to have to pay it back next year's taxes, or is it going to do something when we file next year's taxes? I like what Composure was saying earlier. You know, it'd be nice if they just say, hey, for 90 days, nobody pay no mortgage. Nobody.
Yeah.
You know, instead of trying to figure out what income level you at or anything like that. So, Composure, I appreciate that. I like that idea what you was talking about, man. I like that.
You would think that it would be something fairly easy to just, for people who have mortgages, to say, hey, you know what, we're going to take 3 months of payments and we're going to move them to the back end of the loan.
Sure.
And, you know, and that would help a lot of people out. But, you know, no one wants to be the first guy to do that.
I mean, that would be absolutely just a blessing. I mean, the stimulus pack, I mean, of course, whatever help can be sent to anyone at this point is truly a blessing. However, I personally don't feel it goes far enough. I mean, I've heard rumors, and I don't know this to be fact, but you've seen some rumors about what Canada did for their residents and their constituents. The $980 every 2 weeks, no mortgage payments, no rent, no car payments for I think 90 days or something of that nature. And I just don't understand why we couldn't bring all of that under the confines of these shelters at home, because you're telling people don't go to work. We're not going to let you come to work. We've got to shut these businesses down. We've got to social distance as much as we possibly can to grapple and really bring this particular virus under our control. But if people can't go to work, how do they make those payments? $1,200 is just going to be some people's mortgage payment for 1 month.
Exactly.
That's not counting any other bills. I know mine and my wife's grocery bill has went. We're spending more now because you're trying to make sure you've got everything. Whereas you used to, I'll get that next week, or maybe we don't need that this week, for fear of it not being there or it being in short supply. You may go ahead and buy it this time, and you just. I don't know. I mean, I think it's an absolute blessing. I would expect nothing less from the so-called richest country in the world. However, I think if you're really thinking from a humanitarian perspective, from a perspective of really helping the most impoverished in this country, I think you should have taken it further.
Yeah. Good point, Composure. Excellent point. Excellent.
And it may very well go a little bit further if this thing carries on a little bit more. And, I think I won't be getting any of it. But
big money, Mark.
No, but you know what though? It's a blessing. It's a blessing. Here I am. I'm retired, and yeah, would an extra $2,500 in my bank account feel good? It would. But my wife and I prayed about it, and we said, hey, look, if they put $10 in our account because that's all we're entitled to, we count it all joy. But we're not going to get into a twist about it because we didn't get anything. I can tell you right now, there's a lot more people who need that money more than I do.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And so, whatever the Lord feels inclined to put into my bank account, He'll put it in there. And if He doesn't think I need anything, then He won't. And who am I to argue with Him?
Yeah, $1,200. I think $1,200 per person. I don't think that's really a lot of money. If you're already behind on your bills, your car note, your house note, light bill, food bill, gas bill, $1,200, is better than nothing. Now, don't get me wrong.
Right.
I guess it just depends on your wages, but when you're already behind the eight ball, $1,200, I don't see how that's going to really make a big, significant impact. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't be thankful for the $1,200 because, $1,200 is better than nothing. But,
That's right.
When you have a car note, like I said, a light bill, a mortgage, and, insurance, and all these other bills, it just don't seem like a lot, especially when you're already behind and you're already in the red. And so I'm wondering how is that going to affect people's credit? If they're going to freeze this thing, they need to, in my opinion, they need to, protect people's credit.
Sure.
Because if depending on the type of job you have, you may not even be working right now.
Everybody's going to be in the same boat, though.
Yeah, everybody's going to be
Everybody's going to be in the same boat.
Right.
And
If you can't work and you can't pay your bills, then it's not your credit. So, are they going to, set you up to where your credit is protected? Or,
the trickle down effect of this thing and how it's going to affect all Americans, at least in our financial, positions, it's going to be a trickle down effect. The banks are going to want to lend money, but everybody's credit is going to be screwed up.
That's true.
And so they're going to have to redefine, like right after the big housing bust, when everybody tried to go get loans, now all of a sudden, what do? They told you need 30% down, when they were doing no money down and no verified income.
Right.
And then after 9/11 or after the housing collapse, then all of a sudden now you got to come up with 30% down and you have to have tier 1 credit. And, you know, who was going to have that kind of credit emerging from that kind of a recession?
Right.
You know? And so, I mean, there's going to be a trickle down effect. I mean, this thing is going to go on for so many years to come, where everything is going to be readjusted. It's going to have to be. No one will be able to buy anything.
Right.
So one thing I'm more concerned about is the small businesses. Most of the small businesses are taking the biggest hits. 'Cause most of their businesses are cash business. So they're not in relationship with the banks. You know, they don't have a line of credit. You know, most small businesses have, like you say, they cash and carry type businesses. And to me, those are the ones that are really going to affect the economy, because they do a lot of hiring. You're talking about your barbers, your beauticians,
Right.
people like that. You know, they're really taking a hit at this time.
Right.
So that concerns me with looking at the economy and you know, how we're going to recover.
That's a
See,
good
that's why I made the point that why not? Think about it. What are people's most significant concerns on a monthly basis? Most of the time, mortgages, food, car payments, things of that nature.
Daycare.
Why not? Why daycare things? I mean, and think about it. Most people who have children, those children are now at home eating 3, 4, 5 meals a day, snacking because they know it's in the pantry. And so light bills, water bills, all of that is going up astronomically. Just like I think Motor Mark said it. Why can't, I mean, what would it hurt a lending institution, a financial entity? I'm sending out letters today. I'm sending out emails immediately, just as quickly as the stimulus went out. We're going to add 3 months of your mortgage payment to the back end automatically. You ain't even got to ask us. We're just going to do it. It's done. Yeah, just do it. Just do it. I mean, you're talking about billions of dollars that these industries are making. And please, believe me, there's some segments of our society right now that are cashing in on this pandemic. Not everybody's going broke.
Right.
Believe that.
Oh, no.
Believe
you're right.
that. Believe that. And so I just and what Dr. West was talking about the barbers, think about how much pressure that is off of a barber, a beautician, somebody that isn't, or somebody that was a waitress or a waiter who made most of their money on tips on the weekend between Thursday and Saturday nights when people are going out enjoying themselves. We may not be able to do that for who knows how long, if we ever do that again. Who knows? And so I just think, you know, if you take that pressure off of an individual as it relates to their shelter, you know, like you said, protect their credit. Okay, just add it to the back end of my loan. I'm not delinquent. I'm not going, after these 3 months, I'm not going to have to pay you a balloon payment or anything of that nature. I just think that would go so far as it relates to people's mental, physical, emotional, and financial health right now.
Excellent point. I was excellent point, Composure. I was looking up something real quick, and one of the things that popped up from the internet, it was on CNN.com. This is what they're saying. Basically, it starts off, am I eligible? And it says eligibility is largely based on income, and it excludes individuals earning more than $99,000 head of household dollars with one child who earn more than $146,500. Married couples without children earning more than $198,000. So they're trying to category, you know, put everybody in a category based on their income, which I get it and I understand. But Composure, you knocked it out the park, man. To make it even all the way across the board, and just to give people a sense of hope, just back in it, man. Like you're saying, Composure, just because if you make somebody comfortable, regardless of their economic status and their home or whatever they're not gonna go nowhere. If you're comfortable and they say, hey, we're gonna put this on the back end of your mortgage, don't worry about it, you know, and you're not going nowhere, and they see that you've been paying your rent, your mortgage time, you know, it would that would be a blessing and a half, you know. And if our world would do that, that would be nice. It'd be very nice.
And when you think about it in the grand scheme of things, let's just say your mortgage is $3,500 a month. Well, a large portion of that is going towards interest. Okay, so let's just say $2,000 of it is going towards interest. Really, for 3 months, all they're out is $6,000. They're going to get it back. They're going to get it back at the back of the loan.
Sure.
You know, they're just not
That's
going to
correct.
get it at the front of the line. You know, and
That's
so
correct.
on the big scheme in the big picture, it's peanuts for them. It's nothing. But no one wants to be that first guy, because once the first person does it, then everybody else has to follow suit, or they're the bad guy. And
Yeah.
so it's just a matter of time. It all depends on how bad this thing gets. And it's, you know, but, you know, there is relief for people out there. I know out here where I live, we've been told that none of the utilities are gonna cut off anybody's, you know, power, gas,
Water.
cable, water. None of that is getting cut off. They expect you to pay your bill if you can, and you should, because when this is all said and done and everything goes back to normal, then they're going to have a big bill to pay, and then they're going to have to pay the piper later on.
Sure.
So, you know, it's a weird time we find ourselves in. No one has ever been through this, but you know what? We're all going through the same
Sure.
storm together.
That's correct. That's correct.
And you know what, too, Chris and fellas? Chris, I hate to bring this up, but the thing that's covering all of this, too, is the political aspect of it. That's what just drives me crazy, the political part of it. The politics, saying if I do this first or I do that, I could get reelected, or this could happen or that could happen. I just wish politics wasn't a part of it, but unfortunately, it's 2020. We in an election year. You know, everybody is, you know, going just all over the place when it comes to this stimulus package, because everybody at the end of the day wants to go, hey, look what I did, reelect me, you know? And I hate that it's got to go that direction, because to me, it's more about humanity, more
Right.
about what people need, saving lives. And not only that, helping those families who've lost a loved one because of this COVID-19. You know, look at how many people have died, and they can't even have a proper going home, if you will, a proper funeral. And it's
Right.
just, it really is. It just, you know, one thing after another. So it would be nice if they could make this this stimulus package a whole lot better.
Yeah.
I don't know how true it is, but I heard a report that they were going to hold up some of the stimulus checks because our president wants to stamp his name on each and every check that goes out. I mean, and that's kind of retarded if you ask me. You know, you got people waiting on their money and needing their money real quick, and you know, the president wants to stamp his name on every check. I mean, that's,
Yeah, I heard the same thing.
Yeah, I
before
saw
on
something
the
like that.
evening.
Yeah,
Nah,
that is-
Yeah,
Hey,
but
but-
how do you stamp your name on a direct deposit?
right. That's
no. These are the
He
actual
talking
checks
about
that
he
are
talking about
going
the
out.
extra
He
check.
talking
The,
about
the,
for
phys-
the-
the physical checks that go out, not
Right,
the people that
right.
are getting direct deposit.
Mhm.
The
And that's
physical
not
checks.
cool. That is just not cool at all.
Well, no
Yeah.
one can ever accuse him of having a small ego.
Do we still have our
I
live
mean-
feed? Do we still have our live feed?
Yeah. I've got it up, Chris. I can see it on my phone.
Okay. Okay.
We good, Chris. I think we good. I hope we good.
I got it, but like I told you in off camera earlier today, Chris, Cena's already looking for you.
Yeah.
The tire manufacturer, and we talking about the political aspects of this COVID right. Well, you just need to go ahead and pack up and go to
Yeah.
Canada. Just take the bike and just ride the mothership on across the border, because you in trouble.
I'm
You
gonna
in trouble.
say hi.
Hey, if Cena don't sell them 50 series, they coming after him.
Oh, it's
Guarantee-
over.
I guarantee you.
Listen to me. He killed the soft opening, the launch. Cena didn't deliver on the 30K. They left us hanging. What do you think they're gonna do on the 50K? Boop sales went to.
Yeah. If they don't sell them 50 series, they coming after him.
You see the
Over.
20S, they dropped it down to $150.
Man, slash
Oh,
that
man.
joker.
Yeah.
Hey, the which one?
The 20S is $150 now.
Is that right?
Man.
50%
Wes,
off.
be serious,
Wow.
bro. Oh,
Yes.
I saw
150
that.
You know,
I
the
saw
funny
that,
thing
Wes.
is, the 20S is their best headset,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and they're selling it for the least amount of money.
Man.
Wow.
Well,
My
well,
group is very close to going to Cardos.
well. I hope they don't look for us. You know, when all said and
No, 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 no,
done.
no, no.
Us.
Hold on, hold on, hold on,
Us.
hold on, hold on. Let me
He
help
said
you,
us.
Chris. Yeah, you caught that, D-Lo. Wait a minute. Listen,
He said
this
us.
is the Caliente Gold Wing Group Zoom meeting, sir. Always knock the head off first. Don't us.
Chris just said,
We. Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Man, look. Hey, all I can say is, I can tell you what you want to hear, or I can be honest with you. So
I ain't mad at you.
I'd rather be honest with you.
Or I can tell you the truth.
Gentlemen, I'm gonna be honest with you, and and hopefully I don't offend anybody in this group, but let me just okay.
You got to
We
pray.
went through. I do. You really. I'm trying to choose my words in a very politically correct way. But all I'm gonna say is, and I've been thinking about this. I've been doing a little research. We went through H1N1, Ebola, swine flu, and some other very serious infectious viral diseases, viruses. I'm not sure of all the technical terms. I know that when you classify something, it has a meaning, so I don't want to classify them incorrectly, but we never had to shut the country down with any of that. We never
That's true.
were impacted in the way that we are with this. And I'm sorry, like you said, nobody can accuse 45 of having a big ego, but now you fired the pandemic response team that was put in place that could have really advised you early on back in December and January about this. And now you're going to cut funding to the World Health Organization because they didn't notify you enough, which is the reason why we're here. And I can't, man. We can't. Listen,
So
come on, man. Come on.
I hear you, composure. I hear you.
Composure, you feel like the president is not doing a good job.
Okay, Chris.
But he's never been a politician. He's a billionaire, and people with
Right.
money, that's how they act. They act as dictators. You can't blame him. That's just how billionaires act.
DeCarlos,
They got big egos, and everybody is peons to him. So, it's just that's his nature. I don't think he does it on purpose. That's just his nature.
I get that, DeCarlos. I'm going to disagree with you on one point, though. But if you're president of the United States, you agree to be everybody's president. You agree to do things that are good for everybody. If that's not in your wheelhouse or that's not your purpose, because you're exactly right. People who've had money all their lives have been able, everybody is underneath them. Everybody is a subordinate. They're used to telling people to do something and they do it without question. Right, wrong, indifferent. I get that. But when you aspire to certain positions, this is just a perfect world. As men, have we not all had to grow? Have we not all had certain points of views or perspectives, or where our wives were concerned? I'm not going to mention anybody's name, but one of us on here tonight was talking about how the woman of their dreams, initially got on their nerve. My wife used to get on my nerve, and she is absolutely the best thing that ever happened. I wouldn't be the man that I am without her. So don't we all have to grow? Don't we all have to evolve and change and adjust our perspectives? Because we as men, we all have big egos as men. That's just in our nature.
No.
And we have to lay that aside a lot of times because our egos get in the way sometimes of the progress that needs to be made. Let's just be honest about that. And it takes a real man to say, hey, I'm sorry, I was wrong. Let's try. What was your suggestion? Let's try it your way.
Thank you.
Yeah, maturing is a learned behavior, but he has nobody around him to learn from.
And they're all complicit.
Right.
Every Republican, Mitch McConnell, the Senate Majority Leader, all of his advisors, everybody that allows these things to go on and is scared of repercussions, scared of backlash, whatever it may be, when they took their positions and they're allowing things to go forth and they're not saying anything, they're complicit. They're just as much to blame.
They are.
I'm gonna go out on a limb here, Composure, and I'm gonna say that you're not a Trump fan.
Don't stay on. Listen to me, Mark. Come back in from that limb because it's cracking. It's finna break. Come back in. I want you in here. I'm gonna stop short of giving you a direct answer because I don't want to offend anybody.
I'm a former cop. I have a really thick skin.
I got
No
you.
one can say anything to me that I haven't heard before.
No, I'm not. But I would be willing to support somebody, Republican, Democrat, Independent, Libertarian, whatever, as long as I felt like they were doing what was best for everybody and the people in general.
And I'm
And
glad.
this,
Yeah. Composure.
this right here just shows us, man. I mean, with this rush to want to open, I mean, come on, guys. He was talking about opening up the country last Sunday on Easter at first. I mean, come on, man. I mean,
let me jump in there for a minute.
You made a good point about when you mentioned, you did when you mentioned Republican, Democrat, Independent. I respect what you say. My whole issue with all of that is this. During this pandemic, this virus thing, this is not, in D-Lo's mind, about size. This is a humanity thing. It's about human beings. We need to get this, oh, I'm a Republican, or I'm a Democrat. No, you are a breathing human being that was created by God.
I agree.
And we need to put that out because this is about life and death, doing the right thing, regardless of what side you want to affiliate yourself with. Oh, I'm a Republican, I'm a Democrat. No, you're a human being. And I pray for your soul that you believe in God.
That's correct.
Jesus Christ, but that's just me.
Well said. Those are my sentiments, and I hope it came across like that. I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree.
Chris, but
let me jump in for a second.
Sorry, Chris.
No problem at all, man. It's that's how we do it. I like to give everybody the opportunity, when they have something to say. Let me ask this question. You guys was talking about opening up the country. Do you think that opening up the country right now is? Okay, somebody was texting me. I apologize. Do you think that opening up the country right now is not the smart thing to do? Do you think that, for example, I know the president talked about wanting to open up the country by, hopefully by May 1st. Do you guys think that that's too soon? Do you guys agree with him?
Chris, I think it's a challenge, meaning this. I have family in New York. To me, and what they shared with me, and actually having a family member be affected by this COVID-19, that is like ground zero. Now, I don't know the statistics of what's happening there, but I do know it is terrible. It is bad, especially when you see trailers, semi-trailers lined up to be used to house dead bodies, freezers. Now, you take another state, and which I don't know anything about, let's just say Montana, Iowa, their demographics and what they're dealing with might be on a smaller, lower level. Mm-hmm. They may be saying, hey, don't include us. We're ready to go. We're ready to go. So I think that decision that they have to make in DC is to encompass everybody in the whole totality. So that's why I think there's a lot of, tug of war going on about should it be May 1st or should it. I just think that hopefully they will listen to the scientists and the doctors because those are the professionals, not politicians, the doctors and the scientists who know about this, who tried to warn us back in 2019, but we put up a blind eye to it. I would rather listen to them and then maybe the whole totality of it. Some states are going to suffer, yeah, and then some states aren't because they have small numbers. So
D-Lo, I think you make a great point. One of the things I want to add to that is like the dense population. I know one thing in DC, we have a lot of people are passing here in DC as well. But one thing we're not doing here in DC is social distancing. Everybody's business as usual. There was a broadcast on regular TV here where the police tried to stop some individuals from hanging out and enforcing the social distancing. They ended up getting escorted out their neighborhood because the whole neighborhood came and pushed them out. So, like I say, I think it's based on the dense population. New York is a very dense populated city. Places like New York, all your big metropolitan areas, is going to have an adverse effect on whether we keep the spread down or whether that thing continue to spread. So I think you made a great point, but I think you have to look at the dense population of these metro populations in these cities.
Sure, makes sense.
I think it's too early just to let everything go and open everything back up. And like you said, people have got to stay away from each other and stop this thing from spreading. It's just, that's it. I mean, the numbers have got to go down. And
you're saying that if they to open everything up by May 1st is too early? Is that what?
No, I think so. From what I'm seeing and hearing, of course, I mean, you hear so many things and see so many things online in the news, and I don't know what to believe, but just from talking to y'all, and y'all have experiences with other parts of the country, and even, of course, I go to Memphis every day and I see people. I mean, people are staying home. You can tell there's a lot less folks out, but you still see these groups of people that just act like they don't care and they're, invincible. But I think it's too early right now. I mean, that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
Good point, Jason. Motor Mark's governor in California reminding everybody that don't be surprised when we eventually start to trickle opening for the states and whatnot. You see, you go to restaurants and you see waiters with masks on and things like that. So people are going to have to adjust to that. It's going to be, it's going to be a slow, gradual adjustment for everybody, because if you're not used to it, I'll say this real quick. When I was stationed in Korea, 89, 90, the Koreans over there, when they got a cough or wasn't feeling good, they wore a mask all the time, and it was like normal. Nobody thought anything of it. So it was like, mainstream over there. Now, today, 2020, we see it here in our own backyard. It's a big adjustment for everybody, because if you're not used to seeing that, and you're in the restaurant, when they eventually do open up everything, and somebody comes in and they may be your waiter and they have on, gloves or a mask, some people are going to be like, whoa, you still sick, or are you sick?
Mm-hmm.
Have it. So it's going to be some changes. It's a very hard adjustments, I think, coming, especially with Las Vegas, because us being the entertainment capital of the world, our economy thrives on the casino business, and social distancing. Man, that's going to be very challenging when Governor Steve Sisolak says, okay, we're going to open everything back up. That's going to be very challenging.
Same here with the hospitality. We the same way here in DC. Everybody come to DC to visit, and man, it's hurting our economy here as far as your hotels,
Sure.
all of the associated things that goes on with people coming to visit Washington DC. I mean, people are really suffering.
Yeah, and you guys, you guys talked about the president earlier, and I just believe that the president have a tough job right now, because he's having to balance the economy. He's having to listen to his advisors. We sitting back, on the outside looking in, but I think he has a lot that he's dealing with. You got your advisors telling you one thing, you're listening to the media. You got, you got so many moving components that, because we're on the outside, so it's easy for us to call the shots looking, outside. But, you're talking about balancing an economy, you're talking about job loss, you're talking about unemployment, you're talking about interest rates. I mean, this thing is huge. So, I'm sure that on one hand, the president wants to open up the country and get everything flowing, because the longer we stay down, I think our dollar is collapsing. And I think he knows that. But at the same time, he has his advisors saying that if you open this up too soon, then you're going to have more people that's probably not going to survive this. So what do? Do you open up the country to keep the dollar flowing, or do you shut everything down and watch your dollar collapse? So I think it's a balancing act, you know, and I think it's just a tough job. I think that we should try to pray for our leaders, and whether you agree with them or don't agree with them, or whether you voted for them or not, I just think, you know, right now they're in a tough position to make the big calls, and it's going to be tough, and it's going to affect everybody, because one side is not going to be happy. You got one side is saying, well, you know, let's not open this thing up yet because more people could die. Then you got other people saying, look, we need to get this open because, you know, people losing their jobs. You know, how they going to feed their families? You know, so it all trickles down. So, you know, what do you do? I think it's a fine balancing act, and you know, I think we're going to find out as time moves forward the answer to that question. You know,
Chris, I absolutely agree with you, dude. I do agree with Chris, and I pray for him. You know, whether I agree with him, voted for him or not, I pray for him because he's making decisions that impact me and my family. Let's just take it to a personal level. Right. But I'll ask this question. I agree with you, Chris, because the more money you print, the more money that's there, the more it's in circulation, the dollar is devalued. But so are so many other countries right now that are having to implement stimulus packages. Everybody's currency is being devalued right now. And you're exactly right. We're on the outside looking in. We don't have those pressures. We don't have this. But I guess I would rather err on the side of caution, because we can revalue the dollar. We can bring the country back to economic prominence again.
Correct.
Once you're dead, ain't no coming back from that.
Yeah.
That's it. So if it's opening up the country to get there, because they've already talked about if you reopen too soon, or if you don't create a platform and foundation for this mitigation that works in conjunction with the economy, which that's going to take time to develop, then you open up too soon in November, you might have to shut it down again. So why take these less error on the side of the caution? Both of them are evil. We don't want the dollar devalued. Everybody wants to, I'm up here just outside of Nashville, the it city in the country, the country music capital of the world. I mean, what we depend on. As it relates to tourism and everything else. We lost March Madness. That's normally held here. The CMA festival was canceled. That infused $65 million in our economy last year. Gone. Done. You're not even getting that revenue now. So I definitely agree with you that the economic impact is severe. But our Lord and Savior can bring out, we can deal with economics. Once you breathe that last breath, that's it.
Yeah.
Hey guys, can I make a small point?
Go ahead.
Just a quick, couple of points. You guys make some great points. I'm up at 100% with all you guys. But I'm one of the my personal opinion is that with your question, Chris, as far as opening up too soon, I think that they need, like Composure was saying, just on caution, just be cautious. Right. And open up. And my second point is, when they do open up, they should open up in stages.
Right.
They shouldn't open all the way up and open the movie theaters. Let everybody start going back to church. And I'll be the first one to want to pray.
I can't go to church.
But I don't think they should open up. Just open all the way up. I think it should be in stages. And my third point, and I'll make it quick, is that I would love for them to get a lot of the testing back first.
Right.
Amen.
Because just like Composure was saying, if we open back up real fast and quick, we don't know if we open back up, we rush all these people that's sick. They don't know that they're sick. They rush them right back. We'd be right back to the same point we had from the beginning. We'd be up, 15, 20 more thousand people have lost it,
Yeah,
and so that's just my point.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the balancing act. If you open up too soon, it's like what you said. You kind of go back to where you was. The longer you stay closed, you're devaluing the dollar. And I think Composure had mentioned earlier how some countries are handling the shutdown. Which brought me back to my original point of the beginning of this live video cast is the stimulus checks. 12, as rich as this country is, there should not be anybody around here starving. Nobody should be hungry. Nobody should be hurting for anything. Rich as this country is, and we give so many dollars away to other countries. For example, and I was just reading here. 2019, the U.S. sent a little over $550 million to the World Health Organization. that is a lot of money. Think about how many people in this country can benefit from $550 million. You follow me? So, I mean, and that's just, you know, what we see. A lot of stuff we don't know. Like I said, we're on the outside looking in. This country gives so many dollars away to other countries for military reasons and, you know, to be in this superpower, or we give so much money away, and that money can go to some of our people. But, you know, the same money that you're sending to other countries, you know, why not bring it back home? You know, why not, you know, why do we have a national debt? You know, everybody should be doing well in this country. And if you're going to shut it down, shut it all the way down. Like I said,
There you go.
people's credit reports need to be, people's credit need to be protected. You know, we should not be paying a mortgage. We should not be paying a car note. I mean, if you're going to shut it down, shut it down. You know, $1,200, you know, it's a blessing. It's great. But, you know, when you're already behind, you know, a mortgage, a car note, food, gas, you know, $1,200 is not really going to scratch the surface. It's better than nothing. Now, don't get me wrong. But if you're going to shut it down, you need to shut it all the way down. And people need to get some real help, some real money coming in. And I think that's the only way to deal with it. You know, that's
I don't know if you guys are aware, but from my readings, and it's on the CDC's website, there's a quarantine program, and it started November something, maybe November 19th of 2019, and it ends May 15th of this year. So I think they're on a schedule to get the country reopened on or about that date. So I think that's why he's pretty much pushing May 1st, because it gives him a 14-day window when that quarantine program is over with. So,
well,
That's a good point, DeCarlos. That really is. And Chris, you excellent topic. I mean, you mentioned praying for our leaders. Man, there ain't one day that's not gone by that I have not prayed for every leader, my supervisors, my department where I work at, just people just praying, period. One thing I wish they would understand in DC is this: you're only as good as the people you surround yourself with.
That's correct.
Surround yourself with leaders. You know, throughout my almost 22 years in the military, it's like, oh, Sergeant Lopez, you did this, you did that. No, I didn't. The people made me good.
Right.
The people around me made me shine. And I wish that, you know, the leadership up there would not fire this person or get this person all because, you know, kick them out because they don't see eye to eye. Surround yourself with good people. Let them do what they do, and you sit back as the leader that you're supposed to be, and everything could work out a little smoother. You just can't say, I'm gonna open the country when I feel like it needs.
I totally agree with that, D-Lo, because even you know, with the little small things I deal with, just in a micro setting, you know, I have to have people around me that make some good decisions.
Everybody needs something.
In my little world, you know, I have a backcourt. You don't see it. You know, I have people talking to me in the backcourt, advising me in the backcourt, you know, giving me advice in the backcourt. So, you know, like you said, I totally agree. Surround yourself with some good people. You run everybody off.
Well, I believe that the president does have someone in his circle of trust that he actually listens to.
Right.
Because he constantly walks back some of his rhetoric.
Right.
And you know, like we just
Mark,
saw.
I think, Mark, I'm not to cut you off. I think to give Composure a little credit, and Composure might not agree with me on this, but I think that's the growth that he's talking about. I think that's the growth that this president has transformed to, because he's a different president from when he really got. He's not totally different, but to me, he's a little bit more like you're saying. He's listening to other people outside of his where he initially came in, his group that he initially came in with.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
So he has.
He ain't listening to Bill Gates, that's for sure.
I just think,
Thank
you know,
God.
and here's the problem, you know, for some people who, you know, who have always had this opinion that we need a businessman running the country and not a politician running the country. That's exactly what we got when Trump came in. This guy never dabbled in politics at all.
Right.
And so, you know, in a sense, he's still learning his way. But what he needs to learn and what he needs to eat is a huge slice of humble pie.
Right.
And there are so many things that he, you know, like when I had to turn off these news conferences because they just started getting so out of hand. It's like, dude, why aren't you letting the doctor talk about the virus? Why are you talking about the virus? Okay, that's why you got these people, because they have the medical degrees. They've spent 30 years in the industry doing all this stuff. They're the ones who are going to explain it in a way that the general public understands. You explain it in a way that you think it works, having no knowledge or experience with it. And so he constantly finds himself walking back his rhetoric, and I don't think he means it from a bad way. I mean, you know, for Christians, we have the hope of Jesus Christ in our life. But for non-believers, people who don't go to church at all or anything like that, they're looking for a sliver of hope. You know, and that sliver of hope is the president. You know, what's he going to say? Now, if you're a Democrat, you don't care what he has to say. It's really unimportant to you. And if you're watching CNN, it's even less important, or Fox, you know, whatever. Right. But I think what he needs to do is he needs to really think about, hey, you know, maybe people don't have to get used to a businessman running the country. Maybe I need to learn how to be somewhat of a polished politician so that I can get my point across, you know, because I'm telling you, the rhetoric is coming from both sides of the aisle, and I'm really sick of hearing it. Right. You know, and what I want to hear is I want to hear a doctor tell me, hey, you know what, you need to do this, you need to do that, and you need to do this, and you're going to live. You know, you need to you need to social distance. You know, everybody wants to get the economy rolling. I understand that. Over here in California, they already got a plan in place to start opening up the economy starting next month. Wow. And they've aligned themselves with Oregon and the state of Washington. Wow. And all three of these governors have met, all West Coast governors, they've all met. And now they're thinking of a way to start opening up essentially the West Coast of the country. And, you know, over in LA, in the city of LA, the mayor's talking about, hey, look, man, you know, I'm not going to allow any public large gathering events here. No sports, no nothing, possibly till 2022. Wow. So here we are, we're worried about the baseball season, football season 2020. This guy's saying, man, we may not even be up and running till 2022. Wow. We got to see where this is going. We don't even have a vaccine for this yet.
That's it. And I think, go ahead, Mark. I'm sorry.
And I really think that what I'd like for him to do is let that circle of people that you know, the president is only as good as his cabinet and the people he surrounds himself with, like someone said. Right. Let the experts talk. That way you won't have to walk back so much. Hey, Mark, he doesn't even have a press secretary anymore because no one can contain him.
Mm-hmm. Hey, let me ask you this question. Let me ask everybody on the panel this question. To piggyback on this last statement you made, Mark. What lessons have we learned from this?
We've learned
chime in. What lessons have we learned from this?
In my opinion, we've learned that those things that we grew to love and hold near and dear to our hearts really don't matter at all. At the end of the day, think about what has happened is you are forced to stay at home now and deal with your wife, spouse, children, whatever the circumstance. But you can't get up and walk out the door. And even us with Gold Wing, that Gold Wing don't mean nothing at the end of the day. If mine is destroyed tomorrow, I'll go buy another one. I think we've learned that what we've come to depend on, i.e. our jobs, i.e. our sporting events as men, or the economics of our lives if you're not able to work right now and your revenue has been interrupted or whatever the case may be.
Mhm.
All of that at the end of the day is not important.
That's right.
And
That's right.
and just if I could, just for a moment, I agree exactly what Motor Mark said, what Charles
Mhm.
said. All of us have been men for a long time. We just didn't start being men this morning.
Mhm.
In all of our experiences, we've grown to the fact to know that good leadership doesn't mean that because I'm the leader, I know every intimate detail about everything going on
That's
that
right.
I'm
That's
in
right.
charge of.
Right.
In my opinion, and in the instances, well, I've been the leader, whether it was from a professional standpoint, at home, at church, whatever the case may be. A good leader brings out the best in the people around him. He has
Mhm.
that innate ability to make the people around him shine and push them to their highest potential.
Say
To
that,
the
sir.
point,
Say that.
to the point so much so that they have so much respect to him that they bring their brilliance back to him, put it on the table, and say, "What do you think about this?" Because they have so much respect for him, simply for what
Exactly.
he's done for them, pushing them to their limit. So
Preach it, brother.
as it relates to the president, and I'm like you, Mark, it is on both sides. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to one side or another, but when you're at a press conference and you're asked a legitimate question and you call, and I'm just gonna say this, not to point in the direction of females, you call her despicable because she's asking you a legitimate question.
Doing her job, Composer.
I'm like you. I have to stop watching the press briefings because, like you, Motor Mark, I'm looking for him to tell me something that Dr. Fauci has told him, that one of his other experts has told him. Chris is saying, should we open by May 1st? I don't know. What are the doctors saying? The
Mhm.
virus is really going to dictate what we do and how we do it. I don't think we can sit back and say anything. We're going to have to figure out. And I think Charles was the one that said, we got to get this testing back. We've got to get
Yeah,
all
I
of
think we need
those.
to get some of this
Yes.
testing back.
We've got to get all of those components in control, where even on the other side of this, when the resurgence happens, because everybody keeps whispering about the resurgence of the fall season when this comes back around, similar to how the flu operates. We need to quickly be able to isolate. They keep talking about that, but these are from experts. We've got to, again, in leadership, bring out the best in those that are around us so we can make informed, plausible decisions
Yeah.
that are in the best interest of everyone. May not be the best thing for the economy at the moment, may not be this, but from an overall standpoint, this is the lesser of two evils. You know, I just
The Composer, you so correct. And Chris, great question. What does D-Lo, what have I learned from all of this? Everybody's giving great answers. Great answers. I've learned a couple of things. We as a country, we as people, we dropped the ball. We were not prepared.
Mm-hmm.
We should have been prepared. We're greedy. We're stingy. We're
Hard-headed.
hard-headed. We're too competitive. That's what drives me crazy. We're so competitive. We're so like, no, because you're on this side, or no, because you're on that side. I'll say this again, and I said it earlier. This is a humanity thing.
Mm-hmm.
This is humanity. And people say, how could God let this happen? He let it happen because he's trying to tell us something. And we just got to climb through the weeds and figure this out on our own, because we are greedy. We're not nice to one another. We should be loving each other. And during this time, we need to help each other out, regardless of what side you're on, your political affiliation, because that don't mean nothing.